Bratz is a franchise I have always known about but never engaged in. But having done a ranking of 50 entire Barbie movies, I figured that Bratz was the next logical step. There are 15 of these movies, a number I came to because, well, there are others that are other releases that are considered movies that would inflate the number, but they're not actually. If there is one that you think is missing from this list, it's likely because it's either a compilation of episodes from the shows released as a movie on DVD, or an interactive DVD that I could not fairly review along with the others, so I really have no way to play them. We've had this before. Barbie had an interactive film, and Hasbro had an interactive film, and both of those were excluded. Bratz, I believe, have on their own 3. When it comes to how I would be reviewing every movie, I'll give them the same respect that I gave the Barbie movies. That is that I will not be using "it's made for kids" as an excuse or an attack. I will not be offering them leniency because they're all made for kids, so they would get the same leniency regardless. The fact that they're made for girls will have, I hope, no impact on how or whether I enjoy them. While I am a grown-ass cisgendered straight man, and ergo not the audience I think most people expect to be watching these films, I hold the opinion that me being those things has no bearing on whether or not I'll enjoy them. I like movies, I like animated movies, and I hold a strong interest in movies that are made primarily to shove toys in faces. Me likey the fighting alien robots, and the magic horses, and the pink woman who does stuff, and the guys made of blocks that build shit. Let's get to the ranking and see what Barbie's competitors have to offer.
First is worst, as any YouTube commenter would tell you.
Okay, Starin and Stylin was not a very good intro to these films. That is to not say that it fails to represent them well, because it did show me the immediate stark contrast between Bratz and Barbie. Barbie is timeless, it's genuinely approachable for all kids. Her films began with just "What if Barbie" in existing stories, and later developed into films about friendship, family, and love. Bratz is very directed towards girls. Now, as I've said before, I think gendering certain topics is a bit stupid, but this movie is a microcosm of that one particular viewpoint of the only thing that tween girls like are fashion and trendiness and cute boys and gossip and prom night and shopping. That's all these characters are in this one. The only other notable traits they have, besides liking all these stereotypical girl things, is Yasmin writes a gossip column, which is treated as a problem about 20 minutes in, and resolved about 35 minutes in. And Sasha is so hilariously pale that I didn't even recognize that was her at first. Otherwise, these characters are nothing but people who talk exclusively about fashion, how trendy fashion is, and cute boys at prom. It's so inane and hard to stomach. And it's uncomfortable how accurate this depiction of a culture where young girls at school care way too much about their looks and fashion has become. This is not something kids should be this focused on, but like these days, unfortunately, that's kind of how it is. The animation in this movie is also very cheap. It is extremely cheap 2D animation, where even the backgrounds aren't, they're not drawn. They're just slightly digitized pictures of locations, which is so hilariously cheap that it's kind of fun and charming. That was the most joy I got from this movie. It's otherwise, I think, a very shallow film that would probably only be enjoyed today for nostalgia reasons. But, while I think it is the worst movie on the list, I don't think it is the worst as a Bratz movie. And that is because...
At least we don't buy our friends with our daddy's bank account. Only because you don't have a dad or a bank account.
So whereas I thought Barbie's live action film was by far the best one, yet also in basically no way a Barbie film, I think Bratz's live action movie is arguably the worst one, and also in basically no way a Bratz movie. Bratz, in my experience, is characterized by a few major elements, one of the most striking of which is their art style, which naturally cannot be emulated in live action without casting a few Martians. But there's also the tight friendship between the Bratz and their banter, the excessively 2000s sassy writing, the occasional way too over-the-top melodrama that's sometimes very self-aware. Bratz the movie features none of that really, being a collection of high school movie cliches to the point where everyone just kind of calls this a high school musical film, which I will just assume is correct. Now, what exactly makes this movie bad beyond its clichéness? After all, couldn't it use those cliches well and be very good? Yes, it could. It doesn't, but it could. Yeah, no, this movie is a confused, weird, awkward film. The whole movie revolves around the villain Meredith, who seizes control over the student body and puts everyone into cliques based on their common interests. Our heroes drift away for 2 years, then come back and befriend one another within a single conversation that starts with an argument, including some pretty harsh words. The movie also references some stuff that I swear wasn't in the movie itself. Anyway, at some point the real story begins, and it's about a talent show that positions Yasmin as the main character of the movie, And indeed, she does have her own character arc, which the others don't really have. With the Bratz wanting to break the evil clique system Meredith has enforced, and it's like, that makes no sense to me. Like, rich and student council president Meredith may be, but I don't see how she has this power. And to a degree, the clique system, like, yeah, it's shitty, but at the same time, she's making everyone hang out with people who share their interests that they may not have known about beforehand. And the girls don't even mind their cliques. They actively defend their cliques. They're like, actually, hanging out with the nerdy guys isn't too bad. They're pretty cool. It's like, yeah, that goes to show that the Bratz are not good people, but it also goes to show that the clique system introduced people that likely wouldn't have gotten to know each other, so it's definitely not entirely bad the way they treat it as inherently just the worst thing ever. Like, the only issue is that she wants nobody to hang out with anyone outside of their cliques, and I just struggle to believe it. Like, she's not particularly threatening. Also, this is just the same movie as Equestria Girls, but if Twilight didn't exist, and the ending was Zero Magic Rainbow Rocks. Anyway, I also didn't really feel the bond between the Bratz. I don't buy Meredith as a villain. I don't care for any of the side characters. The deaf guy has one pretty good line, but frankly, he might as well not be deaf at all. His lip reading is so good that it just often comes across like he can just hear anyone. Like, it's weird, and this high schooler who aggressively flirts with the 10-year-old in a painfully chauvinistic way should probably just stop watching all that anime. The only reason I put this above Starin and Stylin is that this has more of a story. Things happen in this movie, and I do think it's more entertaining because of it. At the end of the day, I do like Meredith's villain song, and some of the others aren't bad, and I like the line, "That's because you don't have a dad or a bank account." That is a banger line. But honestly, as a Bratz movie, I do think Starin and Stylin is better, but this movie does have better animation, so it is slightly higher ranking on this list overall. Bratz Babies is just like definitively not for me. I don't want to call any of these films good for kids in a way that makes kids media seem inherently lesser to not kids media, but this is a movie that's good for kids and not really anyone else. It's not a bad thing, absolutely, there is a place in the world for stuff like this. It's fun and silly enough at points, it has some amusing gags. There's a decent general moral of standing up for yourself and not letting the bullies push you around. That said, if the dog didn't unleash a strategically timed piss, I'm pretty sure Butch the Bully would have kicked the shit out of them. But see, as a grown adult man with no nostalgia for this film, I am just not the target audience for a movie featuring primarily baby girls in diapers running around talking about fashion and makeovers. These are babies. The entire opening I found very uncomfortable as the fucking Bratz Babies are getting changed and drying themselves off on camera, and I don't like that. I don't want to see babies drying themselves off and obsessing over their looks and makeup. Is that a crime? But that's not something I'm going to hold much against the movie. It's clearly aimed at kids and doesn't really think much about that. And like, it's okay. Like, it doesn't necessarily have the staying power as many other kids films I've seen, but it's entertaining enough to build strong nostalgia points, so it has that going for it. The animation is sometimes it looks nice, but generally I just felt like Bratz Babies was very in one ear out the other for me.
Yes. They both are great promotions for violence against children.
I swear Super Babies is less of a movie and more of a regulated stroke. What the hell is this film? A potato person alien loses a remote control that gives the girls powers. They do stuff for a bit, they give up, and then they try to save the day, but the potato people end up defeating themselves anyway? What the fuck? Excuse you? I don't care much for the babies gimmick, but you add all of this and I end up confused. There's nothing going on in this movie. It's a stream of stimulation via nonsense. I don't know what, I'm so lost as a moviegoer, I feel like I've watched nothing. But I will say this, I can describe the animation in 7 words. Life was good on hot dog stand. It's straight up that level, and if you get that, you know ball. Elite taste you have. But the movie didn't leave much good impression on me, sad it is to say.
Simon fucking
Ooh, Passion for Fashion Diamonds with a Z. Yeah, this is a nothing movie to me. Most of the movie is a pretty basic, generic road trip with your standard friendship awesome storyline. There's some occasional moments with the villains, and sometimes something completely off the wall will happen, which I enjoyed until it was revealed that all the crazy shit was faked by the British guy to make a reality TV show. A lady then steals the super fetch and in-style diamond boots. And then the Bratz catch her and the British guy shows up, and now that the Bratz look good on camera, they're totally okay with him following them every second of their lives and think he's cool because you know, not only is the message friendship awesome and also buy toys and fashion is cool, but you should only be mad about when your privacy is invaded in a way that makes you look bad. But if it happens to people you don't like, then it's okay and awesome, especially if it makes you look good as a result. So sadly, the alien abduction was all faked, and that's a shame. I appreciate the movie giving a message about fashion being about expressing yourself however you want, which is not something I really think I've ever thought about, but it makes sense. I like that. Outside of that, though, this was not the most notable film. I think this was just an okay one. The name is the funniest part. Like, the diamonds don't even feel like they're that major to a lot of the movie.
As we habla en español, el corazón del oro.
Pampered Petz, I feel I should have liked more. It has cute puppas, it's about saving animals, and the villain's really funny. At the same time, I felt like I was just never engaged with this movie. The characters weren't doing much interesting to me, I didn't think the drama was all that, and frankly, I just couldn't get into it. I don't think the movie did anything wrong, though, which is what confuses me. Like, yeah, save those fucking animals. Yeah, fuck that guy's toupee. You police, go abuse your authority to discriminate against this man for his physical features. You go... Wait, what? Bah, no, I mean, the music was at least fun. I just was not vibing with the movie. It's not bad, but I don't think it has too many problems. The mud jokes got me laughing, and I enjoyed the premise. But I should probably end this here before I extend this segment into a solid minute of me just saying, I don't know why, but it didn't do anything for me.
Byron is going to be absolutely positively furious.
I am absolutely positively furious.
Go to Paris the Movie is the most unnecessarily fast-paced film on this list. Holy shit, this movie is made of like minute-long at most scenes that cut between each other like crazy. Constant transitions to new nonsense as the story blasts off at a ridiculous speed, filling the singular hour of content way too fast. Anyway, this movie's story, such as it is that one French fashion designer is having all of his models get chemically altered to age 80 years suddenly, and he has no idea what's causing it. Because of this, the entire fashion industry and thus the complete global economy are on the verge of collapse. And so Timu Sivan Kalg over here reveals that he was actually a secret agent the whole time, goes to the Bratz to make them go undercover as supermodels and solve the case. Because they mistook Paris for Japan and thought 16-year-olds make good supermodels. Everyone simps over them though, so I guess maybe they were right. Unfortunately. And fucking like, why them? Why the Bratz? They end up doing nothing until like the very end of the movie, where suddenly they just solve everything because, I mean, they do. But that said, like, one of them, I think it was like Jade, gets kicked off a building and like slams into the fucking roof of another building down like a story, and she just walks it off. These Bratz girls are superhuman. There's nothing normal about them. All of which is told in just like minute-long sequences. The movie takes no time to pause and is so quick to things that somehow it forgets to give a proper ending to the Tweevil storyline. They just vanish suddenly, which sucks. They're generally entertaining, especially when their boss is around, but these fucking main villains, essentially, of these series of Bratz films just disappear at the end of the last one. I don't care about Jean-Luc Picard, who adds nothing and is weirdly affectionate towards his actual child. What the hell is this movie? It is all based around like a big twist for the villain that's like, obviously, it's the evil acting one. Why? This is also the latest Bratz movie to come out, so not ending on a particular bang. I do like the idea of a movie celebrating the anniversary of their friendship though, but kind of goes nowhere. Also, it's weird because this movie talks at the start like it's an anniversary, but this was released in 2013, so it was the 12-year anniversary. That's just a weird number.
Are you an angel?
Rock Angelz is an absolutely fucking hysterical movie. It falls into all the trappings these movies can, down to the music announcing it's a girl thing after the Bratz leave the store with a bunch of clothes they just bought, and I realized I just said it's a girl thing to the tune of the Nutshack theme. The girls are all very one-dimensional, with a bunch of pointless drama that has no depth or weight to it. The whole bit with Chloe getting gentrified with Nigel means nothing, but it's hilariously out of place, and the movie's whole story can be argued as that. The film begins with the girls doing nothing at all until Jade gets fired because the Tweevils, who are evil and twins, fucked around. The Bratz sneak around and decide to make their own magazine to fuck over the evil magazine company that fired Jade. In doing so, they go to London to write a story about a punk rock gig, and then a bunch of bullshit with nothing to do with anything anyone ever thought of ever happens, and 59 minutes into this 73-minute movie named Bratz Rock Angelz, our heroines decide to form the titular Bratz Rock Angelz, wherein they play one song and that's it. Except, we then get narration announcing that they went on a world tour, and after their world tour, they announced the first issue of their magazine. What the fuck was any of that? The film is hilariously cheap too. Most of the London trip is this montage of the girls walking in front of a background where shit appears. The movie also has these sudden, like, cutaway fantasy gags that are so pointless, but very funny at times for how out of place and sudden they are. I swear, I thought the girls killed this lady early in the movie. And speaking of this villain, she is hysterical. She is constantly screaming at nothing, and goes full genocidal Freezer at the end, where she's reduced to saying nothing but, "Must destroy Bratz," over and over again. All they did was one-up her twice ever in magazine scoops. It's so ridiculous, but hilarious. This is the kind of dumb bullshit I was hoping for from this ranking, and I'm so glad I got some as early as the second movie.
Go to sleep. What the fuck?
What the fuck is this movie? Bratz Kidz Sleepover Adventure is a fucking trip. It introduces two characters that have not appeared properly in any of these films yet and will never appear again. In Ginger and Megan, and is an anthology of spooky stories told by the Girlz. This includes Sasha being chased by her own Mandela catalog alternate in a theme park, Chloe looking after the sassiest and bitchiest dog of all time, which is hilarious and the best part of the movie. Yasmin gets terrified by a haunted bracelet, which is actually like a pretty sweet and surprisingly normal story, apart from the part where they try to make you feel scared of the bracelet. Megan is a dick to her sister and her sister's friend, wishes for them to go away, gets traumatized, and then summons them back. And fucking Jade goes on a ride where she hallucinates all of her friends are giant slug monsters trying to devour her. When the ride is over, the attendant basically just says that he's disappointed they made it out alive, and then they leave. What is with this guy? After all that, this is concluded with the reveal that Ginger, the red-headed girl, yes, never existed, and all of the girls have been just sleeping over in a literal empty ghost house, with the slightly horrific implication that the whole family they're visiting is dead, with Ginger being terrified of her mother, implying something really awful. And then it turns out that all of the Bratz plus Megan were actually giant slug monsters the whole time, and the movie ends. What? What? This is a trip of a movie, but that does make it really fun at times, and it is one of the most memorable films. What the fuck though? What was that ending? Girlz Really Rock is a solid attempt at a romance story told within a very cliche school camp movie. They go to camp, they have campfires, they tell scary stories, they do camp activities, nothing unique. But it is a solid movie. I think Dylan can be a really annoying character, but I appreciate that his relationship with Anna is like the only one in any of these movies actually developed. It's nice to see them get to actually care about one another. It helps that the movie has some pretty fun side characters. I like Anna, I like the evil bitch dance teacher, I love this incredibly gay music teacher, I love the assholes textiles teacher. The Tweevils are not at their best for me here, but that might just be because to me they work best as a bonus to their more entertaining and melodramatic boss. But it's nice to see them here. The main Bratz girls are fine, but I wish the movie went about talking about how them all choosing to pursue paths that they care about is not a bad thing. Like, the ending is weird, because it kind of implies that competition is bad. You should only ever work together when competing, which makes me imagine that their idea of a morally upstanding sports game would be all the Bratz girls working together to defeat nobody instead of competing with one another in a 2v2. It's really strange. Like, I really think the movie should have enforced, like, it's not the fact that they all chose to pursue their own personal interests that is a bad thing. It is the fact that they went about it in a way that caused them to butt heads with each other and lose their friendship. Because as it is, they seem to be implying that if you do something independent of your friend group because it's something that only you enjoy, you are inherently weakening your friendship with them and you are in the wrong for doing it. I think that's a bad message, and I don't think that's what they were intending. I just think, like, they should have focused on refining that to be a little bit better. Plus, why is every single example of drama between the Bratz girls have to involve a massive four-way breakup that gets resolved in a single conversation? I can appreciate them, trying to do something with the Bratz in this one, trying to differentiate them, trying to wring a little character out of them. But the core of this movie is Anna and Dylan, and that core is, I think, a very serviceably developed and decently executed romance that gets handled well at the end. The villain's entertaining. The movie, I think, is pretty alright.
Excuse me, princess.
Bratz Kidz is surprisingly solid as a sub-series. Fairy Tales is a very simple movie. A frog sends the girls to 4 different fairy tale stories after they talk shit. He says fuck around and find out, and they sure did fuck around and then found out. Did I say very simple movie and then open with a frog sending kids into a fairy tale? I guess I did. Following that, it's a solidly fun film of the girls going through these stories, learning why they are how they are, and engaging with some fun villains, particularly the stupidly sassy big bad wolf. I loved him. I was surprised at how the film came to the defense of these stories, instead of trying to force and criticize them by putting them into a modern day lens. Why didn't Rapunzel run out of the tower? Well, the witch is there to make sure she can't escape. Why did Snow White eat the poisonous fruit? Well, because obviously she didn't know it was poison and she needed food. Apples normally aren't dangerous to eat. We can question why she did it because we have that omniscient viewpoint. She doesn't. Why did Cinderella need a prince? Because women in those days did not have rights. What else was she supposed to do? Why doesn't Red Riding Hood notice her grandma was actually the wolf? Well, because this is the woodsman version, so she did and was stalling in case help arrived, which it did. If she didn't, and she just immediately called out that it was a wolf, well, help would not have arrived. The girls are punished for thinking they're above the stories and can fix them, acting as a surprising criticism of armchair critics like some people who think they could easily solve any problem in a story because of their omniscient point of view and knowledge that the characters lack. The movie is also really funny. The wolf I mentioned, hysterical. The twerking dwarves who let little girls fight monsters without help, hysterical. The Rumpelstiltskin onion, hysterical. The super chill wooden stump who doesn't give a fuck and also is Goldilocks, hysterical. It's a funny ass movie, and definitely a highlight of the marathon for me, while also having a bit more to say than some of the others. I think this one is very fun, and that's great. Yeah, it's good. I'm happy.
Wish my head was an anvil.
Bratz Genie Magic is hysterical to me because it's the first one that absolutely feels like it's just not a Bratz film. In doing so, it branches out though from the very women do be shopping vibe that the first movies had. The movie opens with, as expected, government agents chasing a girl and ends with the Bratz fighting secret agents and a helicopter.
One of the heroes is
A genie voiced by the IDF's finest Tara Strong, using just her Twilight Sparkle voice with no changes. The genie, mind you, is causing global catastrophe because she's sheltered and tricked into thinking mass climate change is a good thing by a greedy corporation who want to take advantage of the chaos and loss of life to further their own profits and political power. Social commentary. The Bratz all argue throughout the movie, and while it's no Rainbow Rocks, it does manage to work to give them something more to do instead of just a few of them having a story or all of them sharing a brief and unrelated to anything else storyline, or God forbid, they just all 4 have a breakup over something unimportant and then get back together after like a conversation. I can't say the drama of who is going to get to make what wish is all that important, but it resolves fine. I appreciate that. I feel like the ending was very telegraphed, but also once again, fine and not too bad. Like, yeah, I expect the Twilight Sparkle to break the bottle, but it works as a climax. I can't say this is one of the more fun films relative to some of what's below it, but as a movie, it's generally more solid, I feel. It has a wider, more interesting appeal that thrusts these superficial characters into a more interesting storyline than otherwise. I like Twilight's relationship with her father, I get where he's coming from, I also see that he's in the wrong. Them coming together in the end was nice. That said, this movie is fucking awkward too. Like, most of the films are slightly noncy, I'll admit that, but this one includes an outright pedo.
Matt Rock, movie star and Blue Jeans Billboard King?
Happy holidays. And if you have a problem with happy holidays, then happy shut the fuck up.
Okay, so I've given the other 2 Bratz Babies films a bit of a spanking, but on the upside, I think Saves Christmas is a riot. It still has some stuff I'm not into, like the animation is fuck ugly, and the Bratz Babies still aren't that interesting as a gimmick. However, for once, I actually felt like them being babies was relevant to the movie because their naivety matters. The whole story revolves around them mistaking a mall Santa for the real one, and that I think is kind of funny. Speaking of which, it's absolutely the main 3 villains that make this movie. Max is fucking hilarious, a top 3 Bratz villains to me, and hysterical. The two little guys are also very fun and bounce off him well. I like their developing friendship with the Bratz Babies and their eventual face turn. I believed it, I liked it, I was charmed by it. Maybe the bit with the elf kind of drags on, it's a bit long of just the Bratz Babies doing some elf things and those villains doing some too. There's some really bad attempts at tension, but I would say that it's sufficiently holly and maybe even a bit jolly. That means that overall I enjoyed the movie. The story was fun, the characters entertained me, the villain was hilarious, the ending was very feel-good. It's a solidly fun Christmas film. I don't think it's as good as Barbie and A Christmas Carol, but I think it's better than Barbie: A Perfect Christmas.
Women be shopping.
Fashion Pixiez is a surprisingly ambitious film amongst this lot, as it's ostensibly a story of a banished magic villain coming back, having killed the queen of the Pixies 10 years ago, and forced one of her daughters into servitude so that she may overthrow the king next. The Bratz' primary role is to just help the princesses out. They are just normal people. In doing so, they teach lessons of friendship and family that combine to form the strongest magic that revives those the villains have defeated. It's a wonder that Tara Strong doesn't voice the main character in this one. Also, the villain, I swear, is sometimes called Rena and sometimes called Lena. I assume Lena is correct, but I prefer Rena. Anyway, the whole film is a fantasy story in which the main girls basically just help solve some problems and lead to a entertaining climax involving a pretty obvious twist. There are some magic energy beams, and Rena decides to go for the dumbest motherfucker award by trying to take on the newly revived king and queen on her own while in a weakened state. Thus, the Bratz girls kick the shit out of her, the king turns her into a stick, and a dog pisses on her. Woe is this day for Rena. Well, I'm not going to say this is an outstanding movie. In fact, the animation remains butt ugly as fuck, and of all the things it drops the ball on, two of the Bratz being turned into evil villains by Lena's magic is maybe the worst of them. The Bratz interact twice with the evil Bratz, and nothing much comes of it. Normally, this is a trope that leads to the two sides coming to terms with one another and resolving issues in their relationship. I think even a bad example of this trope, like Bionicle 3 Web of Shadows, still managed to understand this much and use the trope for what it's for. This movie doesn't, and I think it's unfortunate, because if this movie actually did something with two of the Bratz turning evil, this probably would have been my favorite one. But because of this, the Bratz themselves don't feel as important as they are. Either way, I do think this is one of the more ambitious and thus entertaining films in the lineup. I think it's pretty fun, and I do think that most of these films are pretty fun, or at least a decent bit fun, but this one stands out to me. It tries a bit harder, it goes a bit further to try and tell an actual story, rather than just girls go to a competition, or girls go from point A to point B, check out the fashion and the gossip. No, I think Fashion Pixiez is trying something, and I appreciate that. I think it is fairly solid, and I like the villain, I like her sister character, I think the king is kind of funny, I think the climax is cool, I think it's a good movie.
And I wish you gone!
My favorite Bratz film though is Desert Jewelz, again with a Z. It is a film carried by one genuinely really well done character who I think is enough to make the movie. This is Alia. The movie is about Alia. She is one of the most genuinely well written characters in the whole Bratz chronology, with a tragic backstory with dark implications, an understandable motivation the whole time that makes it hard to root against her, and an emotional dour ending that at least helps clear her mind and set her on a better path for the future. She came out as my favorite character in these films, and her story made the rest of the movie work. The Bratz girls may not have had much of a major role, honestly, being as they are not relevant to the narrative until the last act, but they added some levity and something to follow during the downtime that was a bit more light-hearted and entertaining. They also came with my goat Lumpy! Katya, Twilight doesn't have as much to do in this one as her first, mind you this is a direct sequel to Genie Magic, but she does get the story from Alia and has a good role in the ending. As Alia awakens the genie in the lamp, it turns out to directly summon Katya's father, back in genie form to do the bidding of the lamp owner. In doing so, he will be forced to spend 2,000 years dormant once all three wishes are granted, basically taking him away from his daughter. The first two wishes Alia uses to find out what happened to her parents, where Alia learns that while she thought her parents had abandoned her, actually they were murdered in the night for the goblet that she refused to part with for some bread. The person who killed them was the man she spent the whole movie working under and was raised by after her parents vanished. She then almost uses the last wish to kill the fucker, but upon seeing Katya's sorrow over having to lose her father, she makes the choice to instead free him so she doesn't spread the same sadness as she herself feels. Is any of that original? Probably not, but that doesn't make it bad. It is well done. I think it's a solidly well done version of this general storyline, and a brave choice for a Bratz film given how low stakes and lighthearted they tend to be. I liked Alia, I like the story of her, I like this movie, and I do consider it the best of the Bratz films. It could have been improved generally by giving the Bratz more to do, giving them more of a character arc, but I think that it would be a pretty small improvement because the film isn't about them. The things the film is actually about, I think it handles very well, and I do think this is the best written, the best directed, the best performed, the best presented Bratz movie. So where does this leave us? Well, as much as it pains me to say, I didn't get as much from this ranking as I thought I would. I know there are some who will be saying, well, they're kids movies for little girls, what were you expecting? To which I would say, well, I enjoyed the Barbie ranking, if that's under the same boat. There are many movies for kids that I enjoy, and having been able to look at them with a critical yet reasonable lens has been a highlight of some of these rankings for me. I got to appreciate movies I hadn't before, or found ones that I really enjoyed that I may have overlooked for the reasons of it's for little girls. And you know, even in this very ranking, I thought there were some good movies. I think Desert Jewelz is just a genuinely solid film. I think the overall failing of Bratz to me as a series is that the Bratz themselves are never the most interesting parts of the story. In the Barbie ranking, Barbie was often treated as a fully developed character, even in stories that aren't hers. Whether she is playing another character as a former digital actress or just being herself, she usually undergoes some degree of character arc or has a strong presence. With the Bratz, Chloe, Sasha, Jade, and Yasmin rarely if ever develop, with most of it boiling down to the same kind of minor spat that breaks them apart until they decide to be friends again later down the line. There are no specific relationships between any two individual Bratz. There's no, say, the reason Jade and Sasha get along is because they have this one thing in common that the others don't. I'm sure many people know that regardless of how strong friendships are, the relationships you have with your friends will be different as they are defined by what makes everyone an individual, and not the vague idea of we're friends so we have the exact same relationship that I have with the other people. The Bratz, however, tend to be defined as all having the same general passions, bonds, and goals. The movies that break this trend more explicitly are ones that I have enjoyed more than some others, but the thing this mostly does is make them, ironically enough, accessories. And so the best movies to me are the ones that focus on their own distinct characters, unique storylines, characters with arcs, traits that the Bratz experience rather than are intrinsically leading the story through. This isn't inherently bad though. There are characters I like who primarily experience stories rather than be the driving force behind them, like Tintin. But this does mean that for me, a majority of the movies focusing on just the Bratz themselves leaves me feeling ambivalent to a lot of the lineup, even if only 2 or 3 I think are actually bad movies. Would I want to see the Bratz return today? Well, they never left. They have their own web series on fucking TikTok. But the answer would probably be a no. Compared to Barbie, who has a timeless appeal and messaging carrying her, Bratz is something of a relic of the past, rooted in the 2000s and early 2010s so strongly that while having a strong dedicated fan base, they likely don't fit in today. Some may consider that this would be a break from the norm, but I think there's a difference between breaking from the norm and being outdated, and that is where the Bratz sit for me. Next up on the chopping block of me trying to break stereotypes by acknowledging that media for girls isn't inherently bad because that's a dumb and stupid mindset, is Monster High. That won't be for a while though. I have a few other rankings I want to get out, so stay tuned for those. I'll see ya. Hello! Yeah, I understand this is maybe not the most appropriate outfit to be wearing for a Bratz ranking, but I don't exactly have a Bratz model. I already have that horrific but amazing artwork drawn by Kitty-Kalamari, who you should definitely check out. Link in the description. Who, you know, drew the me on the thumbnail. The one that, you know, definitely got some reactions out of people. That just kind of happened. I don't know why that needed to exist, but it did, and now it does. Yeah. So, I hope you all enjoyed. I hope the 3 Bratz fans in the comment section don't hate my takes too much. Yeah, let me know what is the fan favorite Bratz movie in the Bratz fandom, and please don't tell me it's like Passion for Fashion Diamonds. I will not be able to handle that. So yeah, really not much more to say than that, you know. I mean, it was an interesting time. It was interesting. I have way more like ideas for rankings going in the future. Some based on more toys, some based on other things, you know, the animated comic book ranking is coming. I figured, you know, it can't be worse than the live action comic book ranking. It is so much shorter. So we're getting it done. We're getting it out there. Yeah, but more rankings coming. I hope you all enjoyed the fucking Bigfoot ranking that dropped. This was supposed to come before that, but things didn't work out. You know, it took a little longer to edit, and then I forgot that I also needed to get it out Patreon first. So whoops. But hey, it is out now in the month of April, perhaps, probably near the tail end. Yeah. It's good to go. So yeah, thank you everyone supporting me on Patreon. You will get to see videos like this early, including other rankings if you want to know what I think about other things, and just general stuff and reviews. Yeah, big help everyone. Thanks a lot, and you can also I just said you can support me. You get access to my Discord, where we talk about stuff, such as making me say dumb stuff like this. What the Bratz is a Bratz? Well, a Bratz is, I think it's just the main group of 4, and like sometimes their friends are considered Brats. But it's really just Chloe, Sasha, Yasmin, and the other one. So yeah.
It's Bratz time!
No. I sell these toys using a Bigfoot voice. What does that mean? What does that mean? Like,
Bigfoot. Bigfoot say buy Bratz toys. Bigfoot.
No, because Bigfoot's like super, he's a consent denier. I don't think that's appropriate now that I'm thinking about it. Maybe the real Bratz are the Bratz we made. It's not even made along, it's just the real Bratz are the Bratz along the way. Something about the losing the maid though is kind of getting me about that.
Get over here!
Hormones. Yeah, they tend to do that. One of those people who responded with the flag is Wagonworks. Absolutely.
I have achieved the full power of the cum law.
Is this just because Raymond couldn't find the GIF? Oh no, he could, but he couldn't upload it for some reason. And the comment directly below it.
No, the Satsuino cum law is mine. Feel the wrath of Shao come.
The only drugs I need are estrogen and antidepressants, and also Tylenol, and maybe some... Oh, I hate to tell you guys, you might not be able to enjoy this one then.
I got some sleep. My tummy feels better.
That's true, my stomach was really hurting a couple days back, but like, I got some sleep, and now it's better, so that is truth. Kids have crushes, men have girlfriends, professionals have standards. I don't know how much I trust this one. Who is... I don't know, this... You know, I'm a little concerned about this whole group here, you know? I don't know how much I trust them. Except the time I said Sabi surprise. That one was okay. But I don't know about this one. I don't know. This one seems threatening. Seems dangerous. This might be a cognito hazard. Alright, that was that. I hope everyone enjoyed it. Yeah. Yeah. Take care, everyone. Have a lovely day, and let me know what you thought. Let me know what you thought below. Are you excited for Monster High when I get the Monster High? Tell me what you think is going to rank really high in Monster High, all you Monster High enjoyers in chat. Yeah, I am definitely interested in seeing what Monster High has to offer, because might as well get this done. I will not be giving American Girl its own ranking though. American Girl is going to go in the Mattel ranking. because otherwise the Mattel ranking is going to be like half the size. Seriously, the Mattel ranking is like primarily just made up of Hot Wheels, American Girl, and Max Steel, but like the original. Yeah. Take care, everyone.